Welcome to another episode of Echoes of Anne, Youthful Voices, a podcast by the U.S. Anne Frank Youth Network. Today we are continuing the April theme of human rights as we speak with Angy, an art and musicology student who works at the Anne Frank Center in Buenos Aires and is a member of the International Anne Frank Youth Network.
So first, can you introduce yourself?
Okay, hi, my name is Angeles, but everyone call me Angy. I'm from Argentina, Buenos Aires specifically. I'm 24 years old, and now I'm studying arts and also musicology.
That's really cool. So I know you're involved with the Anne Frank Center in Buenos Aires, and you are a part of the Anne Frank Youth Network. Could you talk a little bit about what you do in those roles?
Yes. In 2019, I started as a voluntary guide at the museum in Buenos Aires, and then I participated in different projects and activities. For example, I worked training police cadets in the museum. I'm also part of the Otto Frank Youth Thinking Space team. Once a month, we met with young people between 15 and 25 years old to debate, talk, and learn about a topic. For example, in April, the topic was fashion and identity. So we invited a girl who talks about fashion on social medias here in Argentina.
That sounds so cool and really meaningful to connect over unique topics like that. I love that.
Yes.
So getting more into it, I wanted to start with asking about what human rights are.
For me, human rights are guarantees that belong to all people just for being human. Don't matter nationality, sex, religion, language, sexual orientation, political ideology, or other conditions. And they are universal. It means that belongs to everyone. And for me, are also mandatory for the states. For example, education, health, freedom of expression.
I was wondering if there are any challenges that you see to human rights in Argentina.
Well, yes, especially the last time with the new government, many human rights were systematically violated. And for example, the last time we have acts of aggression against journalists, use of disinformation or fake news against different singers or actors, for example, and the excessive use of force in protests. Also, the public health and education was hidden. We have public education here, and especially university the last time lost a lot of money. For example, they don't have enough money to pay the teachers or to make this public statements fine. And I think that the challenge now is see how the entire society here shows the government that they have to guarantee respect and protection of human rights. And in this context, what things we can do to make the human rights respect and to protect that.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I really am intrigued by you bringing up education, since I think that's something you can see being a target in some ways in the U.S. as well. And I think it really speaks to how crucial having a well-educated population is.
For us, it's really important because all the education is public, the primary, the secondary, the university, and in all the countries. So protect that. I think that it's one of the most important things that we have to protect here.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of continuing on that, I was going to ask, what is the role of education in human rights activism, and how do you see the Youth Network acting out that role of education?
Yes, well, I think that education is crucial because if we don't know how rights we have, we never make the government or the states make guarantees that. And that also connect us with other people, with other, ways of see the world or how they can see the human rights, and it makes us create or builds critical thinking about the discrimination or about how the social media, for example, acts in the human rights or the fake news, how we can know if something is fake or not, especially now with the artificial intelligence. So the education is crucial on that. And I think that the youth network, how the youth want start to protest, organize themselves. And also, I think that now, especially here in Argentina, they start to think another way or protest. For example, I remember a few months ago, some students from dance, our University of Arts, they, in a train station, they make like a dance there to show how the public education starts to be hidden. And I think that was awesome because they create a new way to see how important it is for them have the University of Arts. So I think that is important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love that they use dance as protest because it's such a visual thing that you really can't deny seeing that. Okay, so my next question is, how can we learn from the experiences of those whose human rights have been violated, like Anne Frank?
I think that the most important thing that we can learn is about the people who protect Anna Frank. In Argentina, in the museum, we talk about the people who protect her and her family and how that makes Anna still believe people around the world. We also can learn about history, about how the news, but also the different social issues can make the human rights violated. But I think that the message of protect and help people around us in the ways that we can is the most important thing. Makes us believe that we can do something in the world. And sometimes we believe that we never can do something and always going to be everything in the same way. Well, that's history. I think that we can learn about Anna in that way with the people who help her and her family.
Yeah, I really appreciate you bring that in. I know at the Anne Frank Center in the U.S., they talk a lot about the idea of being an upstander versus a bystander. And when you see these things happen, taking charge to be active and to do something about it. So the U.S. Anne Frank Youth Network's April theme was human rights, but April was also Genocide Awareness Month, and so I was hoping you could speak a little bit to the history of these two topics and how they're related.
Well, I think that talking about genocide make us always talk about human rights, especially after the Holocaust. It's the last step of how the system or the states can violate human rights. We, in the democracy, we can see different ways of how the government or states violate the human rights, but in a genocide without the freedom of expression and how a group of people can select to be eliminated of the society, I think that it's the last step of how the human rights can be violated. I think that it's always going to be connected because in a genocide, a sector or a group of people don't have human rights. And I think that it's important to talk about human rights when we always talk about genocide.
Kind of continuing on the idea of April being Genocide Awareness Month, what do you see as the role of April being like Genocide Awareness Month? And do you think that this month and other months like it, where they are these awareness months, are effective?
I always believe that if we don't put name or we don't talk about something, it's like never exists. So we have to talk about the things. Sometimes it's really hard. For example, for so many years, people who survived genocide never talk about it. And they took a lot of years start talking about the experiences that they have. But especially now with the new generations talking about the things that happen, it's really important. Well, in Argentina, we have a dictatorship, for example, and a lot of people always say that we have to continue and don't talk about it. It's about the past. Well, I think the opposite thing. If we don't talk about it, it always can happen again. And if we don't see the things start happening before the genocide, it always can happen again. Like kind of alarms. We have to pay attention. I think that it's really important to have a month or a day to talk about it. Sometimes we believe that it's for nothing because the extreme right start happening in different countries again, or different countries have dictatorship or systematic violated of human rights. But if we don't talk about it, it can happen in all the entire world. Or if we don't talk about it, the other countries don't have the change to help another people who understand that their human rights has to be guaranteed all the entire world every time.
It's a really great response. I really appreciated that. We're kind of rounding out the interview. But is there anything that you would like to share that we didn't discuss?
It's really important, especially with the youth people, to start talking about everything, about human rights, about fake news, about how they feel about something. Sometimes we believe about how the state or government has to make guaranteed human rights and that's it, and we can do nothing about it. Well, I think that with our friends, with our family, we have to talk about the human rights. We have to talk about how they can affect us. That is really important for guarantees the human rights in all the world.
Today, Emily chatted with Angy about human rights, education, and speaking up about what matters. For more on our Human Rights and Genocide Awareness Month campaign, or to learn more about the U.S. Anne Frank Youth Network, check out our Instagram at us.annefrankyouth network. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.